Remember those books we devoured as kids?
Mm-hmm.
The ones with, those fantastical worlds and those mischievous characters.
Oh, yeah.
Well, today we're
Yeah.
diving into the life of the man who brought us those stories,
Okay.
Roald Dahl.
Wow.
You probably know him as the author of classics like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Mm-hmm.
But his path to becoming a beloved children's author was anything but ordinary.
Yeah, it's true. His life was this mix of adventure and tragedy and this creative triumph.
Right.
And what we'll uncover in this deep dive is how those real life experiences, especially his time as a fighter pilot during World War II,
Yeah?
shaped his writing and led him to craft those imaginative stories that still capture our hearts today.
You shared an audio clip that really piqued my curiosity.
Okay.
Something about a dramatic plane crash in the Sahara Desert.
Right.
It sounds like something straight out of one of his books.
It does, doesn't it? But this was no work of fiction.
Wow.
Dahl was actually a fighter pilot in the Royal Air Force during the war.
So he wasn't just writing about adventure.
Nope.
He was living it. I never knew that about him.
Yeah. And that experience in the war,
Yeah.
especially that crash,
Right.
had a profound impact on him. It's a story that deserves to be told in detail.
Let's hear it then.
Okay.
What exactly happened?
Picture this. It's 1940. The North African campaign is in full swing,
Right.
and Dahl is on a routine flight. But things go wrong quickly.
Oh, no.
He runs low on fuel over the vast Sahara Desert
Oh.
and can't find his squadron's base.
Talk about a nightmare scenario.
I know, right?
Lost in the desert with no fuel? That's terrifying.
Exactly. He's forced to attempt a crash landing, but it goes horribly wrong.
Oh, gosh.
He hits a boulder hidden in the sand. The plane catches fire.
Oh, my.
And to make matters worse, the heat causes the plane's machine guns to start firing off randomly.
That's insane. It's a miracle he even survived that.
It is. He suffered serious injuries,
Yeah.
including a fractured skull and temporary blindness. A passing British patrol eventually found him, and he was rushed to a hospital in Alexandria.
It makes you wonder how someone comes back from something like that,
No.
both physically and mentally.
It's a testament to his resilience.
Right.
He did eventually return to active duty, but the head injuries from the crash continued to plague him
Oh, no.
and eventually led to him being grounded for good.
So this crash was really a turning point in his life?
Absolutely. It was during his recovery that he started writing.
Really?
Yeah. His first story was a rather whimsical tale about gremlins.
Gremlins.
Yeah.
Like the movie. I remember watching that as a kid. Scared the heck out of me.
That's right. Dahl's story caught the attention of none other than Walt Disney himself,
Wow.
who wanted to turn it into an animated film. They even signed a deal,
Oh, wow.
and a book was published, but ultimately the project fell apart.
Why did it fall apart? Seems like a match made in heaven. Disney and Gremlins.
Well, Dahl was very protective of his story
Okay.
and clashed with Disney over the creative direction. He refused to compromise his vision, and in the end, Disney scrapped the project.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So even early on,
Yeah.
he had a strong sense of artistic integrity. It makes me think of his later clashes with Hollywood over the adaptations of his books.
You're right to make that connection. This early experience with Disney foreshadowed his future frustrations with the film industry. It seems control over his stories was always important to him.
So the war ends.
Yeah.
Dahl returns to England,
Mm-hmm.
and he tries his hand at writing full-time.
Yeah.
Did success come knocking right away?
Not quite.
Mhm.
He wrote short stories, screenplays, even novels, but nothing really took off initially. It was a period of experimentation and, honestly, some struggle.
It's interesting to hear. You always imagine famous authors just bursting onto the scene, fully formed. It's a good reminder that even for someone like Roald Dahl, success wasn't immediate.
It's an important point. His journey to becoming a literary icon was a winding one full of unexpected turns.
Wow.
And it was actually his agent who suggested he try something new, writing for children.
And that's when things really started to change, right?
Exactly. That suggestion led him to write James and the Giant Peach, which became his first real breakthrough in 1961. It opened up a whole new world for him, the world of children's literature.
So from crash landing in the Sahara to writing children's books, what a journey.
Yeah.
And we haven't even gotten to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory yet.
We haven't, and that part of his story is even more compelling.
Really?
Filled with both incredible success and profound personal tragedy.
Well, I'm definitely hooked. Let's talk about what happened next.
Before we delve into the phenomenon that is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory,
Okay.
there's a crucial part of Dahl's story we need to address.
Right.
It's a deeply personal tragedy that shaped his writing and arguably the direction of his career.
You're talking about the loss of his daughter, Olivia, right?
Yes. In 1962,
Correct.
Olivia, who was only 7 years old at the time,
Oh, wow.
contracted measles encephalitis,
Oh.
a rare and devastating complication of the measles virus.
That must have been an unimaginable loss for him and his family.
Oh,
I remember when my own children were young, measles was still a concern,
right.
even with the vaccine.
It's a heartbreaking reminder of how fragile life can be.
Right.
And for Dahl, a man who had already faced death in the war,
Right.
this loss struck him deeply. It's impossible to know for sure,
Yeah.
but many believe that Olivia's death played a significant role in the creation of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I can see that loss like that has a way of changing everything.
Exactly. He had actually started writing the book before Olivia's passing,
Okay.
but afterwards he completely reworked the story.
How so? What was different?
The original concept was much darker.
Really?
Imagine this. Charlie gets sucked into a chocolate machine and undergoes a series of bizarre transformations. It was a bit more in line with Dahl's earlier, more macabre short stories.
That's quite a departure from the Charlie we all know and love.
Right. After Olivia's death,
Yeah.
Dahl seemed to consciously shift the tone of the story. He created the Charlie we know today, kind, compassionate, and ultimately rewarded for his good character. It's almost as if he was trying to ensure a happy ending for Olivia within the world of his book.
That's a beautiful way to look at it.
Yeah.
Channeling his grief into creating something magical and hopeful.
He poured his heart into the story, and you can feel it in every page. It's no coincidence that the book is dedicated to Olivia.
Wow.
And when it was finally published in 1964,
Right.
it was an instant success.
I can only imagine the bittersweet feeling of that success. To achieve your dreams, but
Yeah,
have that tinge with such profound loss.
absolutely. The first print run sold out within a month,
Wow.
and it quickly became a global phenomenon. It resonated with children and adults alike, solidifying Dahl's place in the literary world. But as with the Gremlins, Hollywood soon came calling, and Dahl's past experiences with creative control were about to repeat themselves.
Oh, I bet that didn't go well. He seemed like somebody who held tightly to his vision.
You're absolutely right. In 1971, the film adaptation of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was released,
Right.
and Dahl was, let's just say, not pleased.
What happened? Did they stray too far from the book?
In Dahl's view, they did. The director took liberties with the story, shifting the focus away from Charlie and onto Willy Wonka.
Oh,
They even changed the title to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
that's a pretty big change. I can see why he'd be upset, especially after pouring so much of himself into the book.
It goes back to his experience with Disney and the Gremlins. He felt protective of his stories, and in this case, especially protective of Charlie, who was so closely linked to Olivia in his mind.
Right.
He felt the film betrayed his vision.
So how did he react?
He publicly disowned the film.
Wow.
It was a bold move, and it showed how deeply he cared about preserving the integrity of his work.
Wow.
It's a reminder that for some artists, compromise isn't an option when it comes to their creations.
It takes a lot of courage to stand up like that, especially when you're talking about a major Hollywood production.
It does. And despite his frustrations with Hollywood, Dahl's legacy as a children's author remains strong. He continued to write, publishing a sequel to Charlie and many other beloved books that continue to enchant readers today.
It's amazing to think of the impact he had on children's literature. His stories are so unique and imaginative, and they've been read by millions of kids around the world.
It's a testament to his talent and his understanding of what captures a child's imagination. His books are full of adventure humor and that touch of darkness that makes them so compelling.
But there's also a lot of heart in his stories, especially in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's a story about hope, kindness, and the power of imagination, even in the face of hardship.
You're absolutely right, and that's something that resonates with readers of all ages.
It makes me want to go back and reread all those books,
Oh, yeah.
this time with the new understanding of the man who wrote them. It's incredible to think that one man could have such a lasting impact on so many lives through his stories. I mean, those of us who grew up with his books, they're a part of our childhoods, right?
Absolutely, and that's the real magic of Roald Dahl, isn't it? He created worlds that we could escape to, filled with characters who felt like friends.
Right.
He made us laugh, he made us think, and sometimes he even made us a little bit scared.
And it all stemmed from a life that was anything but ordinary. From a near-death experience in the war to the profound loss of his daughter, those real-life experiences are woven into the fabric of his stories.
It's true. And it makes you wonder, how much of ourselves do we pour into our own creative endeavors? Whether it's writing, painting, or even just telling stories to our grandkids, our experiences shape what we create.
It's almost like he took the darkness in his life and transformed it into something magical and enduring. And it makes you wonder what seemingly negative experiences in our own lives might hold the seeds of creativity right.
That's a powerful thought. Maybe there are stories within us just waiting to be told, stories that could connect with others in ways we never imagined.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Roald Dahl, what's the one takeaway you hope our listeners will remember?
I think it's the idea that even amidst hardship and loss, there's always room for imagination and wonder. Dahl's life was full of challenges, but he never let them extinguish his creative spark. He used his experiences to fuel his writing, and in doing so, he created a legacy that continues to inspire and delight people around the world.
And if you're feeling inspired to revisit those beloved stories or share them with the next generation, we encourage you to do so. They're more than just children's tales. They're a testament to the power of storytelling resilience and the enduring magic of a good chocolate factory.
Until next time, keep diving deep and never stop exploring those worlds of wonder.